Well, welcome, folks. Today is a special day. We've got your recorded questions. We're going to put it on most of the program. We'll be answering the questions that came from the audience. But first, the stock market has soared after stunning news in the fight against COVID-19. Drug company Pfizer is ramping up production of a vaccine reported to be 90% effective. How soon will it be available to Americans? And what could it mean for our economy and our return to a normal life? Our medical reporter, Lori Johnson, is joining us right now. Lori, this vaccine, they say, is 90% effective. I understand that's better than the flu vaccine.
Actually, it's much better than the flu vaccine. The flu vaccine, the efficacy varies from year to year, but in general, it's about 60% effective. This new COVID-19 vaccine has been shown to be 90% effective. The FDA said they would settle for a vaccine that was only 50% effective. So this is really right up there with some of our most effective vaccines. I'm talking about some of these childhood vaccines, such as for the measles. And Pat, you'll be happy to know that this particular vaccine, the Pfizer vaccine, is not made using a live virus or even a dead virus. It's made using this messenger RNA, which is genetic material that triggers an immune response. The only catch about the mRNA virus or vaccine is that it has to be kept frozen. This genetic material falls apart if it thaws. And so, you know, lots of dry ice and great freezers need to be used from the moment it's produced until it's delivered. But that's not a problem. And scientists have known about this all along. So this is the Pfizer vaccine. It looks like it's going to be the first one to cross the finish line, although there are 3 others that are in the home stretch, and we've been talking about these. The Moderna vaccine is likely to be approved very soon. This also uses mRNA, and it also needs to be frozen. Then there's the AstraZeneca vaccine. This does not need to be frozen. It only needs to be refrigerated. All 3 of these vaccines require 2 doses. So you get a shot, and then 3 weeks later, you get another shot. And then the last vaccine that's very close to being approved is Johnson & Johnson. That's only 1 shot.
The FDA has approved emergency use of this new antibody drug. What do you know about that?
Well, this is the one called bamlanivimab, and this is the drug that Chris Christie took. You may remember he was diagnosed with coronavirus and went into the hospital right away because he does have some risk factors. He's over 55 and his weight is an issue. And he was given this drug and recovered right away. This is an antibody drug, and this is very similar to the antibody drug that President Trump received that was so very effective. So this particular drug made by Eli Lilly is it's an IV infusion, and it needs to be given in the very early stages of the disease. So if a person comes into the doctor's office and they test positive for coronavirus and they have a lot of risk factors, then they go straight to the hospital and get this, and the results have been remarkable up until this point.
Thank you, Lori. You know, the people in Germany were asked, why'd you hold this thing so long? And they said, look, we didn't want to play politics, but it is a little strange. But nevertheless, it's incredible. This was developed under the administration of Donald Trump. And he has a 4-star general in place to get these vaccines out to the general public in record time, all across the country. It's all set. And as soon as we get clearance and we can begin delivering, they'll put out as many as 50 million doses. I think they're going to start with about 5 million, but it's an incredible breakthrough in this dreadful, dreadful pandemic. Well, CBN News financial editor Drew Parkhill is joining us now. And Drew, apparently the market just loved this the news of this vaccine. What's your take on it?
You know, the fascinating thing, Pat, was this impact on the market was very, very split up. Let me show you what I mean. Lori talked about Pfizer, Moderna. Well, their stocks yesterday, we have a couple of graphics here. Their stocks yesterday were way up, obviously. Pfizer is up nearly 8%. Moderna was up a little over 7% because they're working on a vaccine too. But the spillover effect into other stocks, travel and leisure stocks, we have a graphic about that as well. Some of these stocks went way up. American Airlines, Delta, way up. Royal Caribbean up 29% in a day. Disney up The idea is here that eventually, whether it's right away or later, eventually people will start traveling again. They'll come out of their houses. Their businesses will be back up, the ones that have been closed down or at least slowed down temporarily. So these were the stocks that did really well. By contrast, let's look at some of the what are called the stay-at-home stocks. These stocks have been doing really, really well. I mean, people were buying things from Amazon. They were watching Netflix. They'd be using Facebook. They'd, of course, use Microsoft Windows and Apple for iPhones and so forth. Those stocks have been doing great. Yesterday, they sold off. Why? Because the money went into other stocks and people said, okay, their day in the sun is kind of over. So it had a bit of a mixed impact. But the basic idea here is, Pat, you've got to have a vaccine or vaccines to reopen the economy again. That's what Biden, who, if he wins, that's what he's talking about. Trump would be operating the same way. You're right. This was developed under the Trump administration. Whoever is declared the ultimate winner and is certified, they're going to inherit what should be a good situation. Now, it may take a few years or several months to work itself out, but it looks pretty promising at this point.
One last question, Drew. I know you're a crystal ball prognostication. You're not surprised at the top of the Dow, but you think the Dow may go up to 30, 40, 50, 60, 70,000.
Well, yesterday the Dow got very close to 30,000, then it turned back. That may be resistance for a while. And like I said, I've expected a bear market. We had one basically in that really sharp sell-off from late February to late March, where the Dow went from 29,000 and changed to just over 18,000. Maybe that got the bear market out of its system, or maybe we're going to have a few sideways years yet. That's just a matter of timing. Longer term, Pat, longer term, we're just around under 30,000 now. Well, okay, in March of 2009, we were at 6,500. So in 11 years, 11 and a half years, we've gone from 6,500 to almost 30,000. So that's a gain of, like 330%. But to go from 30,000 to 100,000, the market would only have to go up 230%. You see what I'm saying? No doubt in my mind, economic policy will play a part out of Washington, but no doubt in my mind, over, let's say, 15 years, the Dow will go over 100,000. I'd say within a little over 20 years, it'll go over 150,000.
Wow. Our financial reporter, keep that in mind. The joke used to be in the South, save your Confederate dollars, the South will rise again. It looks
the Dow's definitely going to rise and the rest of the market with it.
It looks like America's going to keep on rising. Okay, yes. Don't bet against the Fed. That's the key. The Fed has been pumping money like crazy. And don't bet against America, because this is the greatest country on the face of the earth. Wendy.
So much more fun when the market's going up.
It makes you feel so much better. You look at your IRA or Kia or whatever you got, and you say, hey, this looks so nice. Okay.